The Baker and the Nun, The Immaculate Confession, Episodes 7 and 8. Things had definitely gotten out of hand at the Immaculate Confession. The Divine Donut of Destiny had become such a sensation that the bakery had been visited by people claiming to have had spiritual awakenings and life-changing experiences, all while unknowingly walking out with 6 dozen donuts stacked in their arms like it was a religious pilgrimage. But today, Tony had a new plan. He was standing behind the counter, rubbing his hands together with glee, while Sister Mary, who was more than a little skeptical about the whole food as enlightenment thing, was eyeing him with suspicion. "Sister, brace yourself. The world is about to experience the next phase of bakery enlightenment," Tony said, his voice dripping with mischief. Sister Mary, who had just finished cleaning a batch of pastries that had mysteriously been blessed with extra butter, raised an eyebrow. "Tony, I'm still recovering from the aftermath of the Divine Donut of Destiny. You might want to cool it down a bit before we get any more spiritual disciples coming in for their second helping of enlightenment." "Oh, trust me," Tony said, winking. "This one is going to be next level. I'm calling it the Holy Croissant of Confusion." "The what?" Sister Mary was not prepared for this. "Don't worry, it's going to be amazing. I've infused it with the essence of mystery. Each croissant will come with a secret ingredient," Tony explained, his eyes gleaming like a mad scientist on the verge of something revolutionary. "It's part croissant, part sacred riddle. Each bite will take a journey of self-discovery." Sister Mary sighed deeply. "Tony, last time it was enlightenment. This time it's self-discovery. You're going to make a whole generation of people think their digestive system is a spiritual temple. Just please, no more secret ingredients. I'm still trying to get this Sister Mary's sacred jam stain out of the floorboards." "I promise you," Tony said, dramatically holding up his hand. "No jam. Just pure, flaky, spiritual confusion." At that moment, Gertrude burst into the bakery, her hat practically toppling over her head as she flung open the door with such force that it almost caused a mini windstorm. She looked excited, but also a little concerned. "Darling, I've heard whispers on the street," she said, staring Tony down. "Is it true? Are you really making a croissant so confusing that it will challenge the very fabric of human understanding?" Tony beamed. "Exactly. You get it, Gertrude. The croissant will make people question everything they know about baked goods, and maybe, just maybe, themselves." Gertrude leaned in closer, her eyes wide with anticipation. "I don't know about this. The Divine Donut of Destiny was a revelation, but this? You're talking about confusion in a pastry. I'm not sure I'm ready for this level of intellectual uncertainty." "Well, Gertrude, consider this. A croissant so layered. It has layers of meaning," Tony said with a flourish. "And also some chocolate chips. Because, balance." Sister Mary sighed again, rubbing her forehead. "Tony, last time it was divinity, this time it's confusion. What's next? A muffin that makes you question the existence of muffins." But before Tony could respond, Steve and Wanda walked in, both looking somewhat zen, like they had just returned from a weekend retreat at a spiritual donut shrine, which, at this point, might have actually existed. Steve was holding a yoga mat, but this time, he was also holding a carrot cake. "Tony, we've heard about the croissants," Wanda said with an air of quiet excitement. "I have a feeling this one is going to be even more spiritually transformative than the donuts." Steve nodded, solemnly placing his carrot cake on the counter. "We're prepared for anything," he said. "We've been through the donut enlightenment. Now we're ready for croissant confusion." Tony clapped his hands together, eager to get started. "Exactly. You'll take one bite and be like, 'Am I in the bakery, or is the bakery in me?'" Gertrude looked confused, but in the way only someone who had tasted a lot of baked goods could. "Darling, I'm not sure I want to be in the bakery. The bakery is already in me." Just as Tony was about to start making the croissants, a random customer walked in, carrying a large sign that read, "Where is the peaceful croissant?" The customer immediately began shouting at the counter. "I've heard your pastries are life-altering, but I've been looking for a croissant that does not make me question my entire existence." "What are you doing to your customers, Tony?" Sister Mary raised a hand, trying to calm the situation. Sir, I assure you, the croissants are not designed to cause a spiritual crisis, though if you eat too many, you might start doubting your snacking choices. The man paused, looking suspicious but intrigued. A peaceful croissant? Does it come with a side of inner peace? Gertrude jumped in. Darling, let me tell you, the only peace you'll find here is in the absence of calories. But trust me, you'll be spiritually nourished by Tony's baked goods. Just brace for the journey. Tony cleared his throat. Now, I'm sure I can accommodate your request for non-questioning pastries in the future, but today is about the croissant of confusion. And so, the bakery descended into complete chaos. People were fighting over the definition of peaceful croissants, while others demanded croissants of clarity. Sister Mary looked as if she were ready to just go back to her quiet life of nuns and regular bread rolls. But Tony, true to form, was deep in his element, creating croissants so complicated that even the flakiness was a philosophical dilemma. Gertrude sat back in her chair, nibbling on one of Tony's croissants of confusion and muttering to herself, I think I just had an epiphany, but I'm not entirely sure what it was. Was it a donut? Or was it a croissant? Sister Mary took one look at her, shook her head, and muttered under her breath, I'm never going to understand these people. Next time, stay tuned for The Donut Hole of Uncertainty, where Tony explores the very concept of empty space in pastries. The Baker and the Nun. The Immaculate Confession, Episode 8. The line outside the Immaculate Confession was longer than ever. Word had spread quickly about Tony's latest creation, the croissant of confusion, and people were flocking from every corner of New York, some hoping for enlightenment, others just looking for something flaky. The bakery had now become a hotbed of philosophical debates, snack-induced existential crises, and most notably, people trying to figure out what the heck a croissant actually meant. Tony was behind the counter again, eyes wide with excitement. The bakery was buzzing with activity. People were talking about their latest spiritual epiphanies after trying the croissant of confusion. Some claimed to have achieved enlightenment, while others simply wondered why they'd been eating pastries for 20 years without questioning their purpose in the grand scheme of things. Sister Mary, meanwhile, was having none of it. She stood at the counter, giving Tony the look that said, What have you done now? Her eyes were heavy with the weight of not just her habit, but the responsibility of keeping the bakery from turning into a full-blown existential crisis factory. Tony, she began slowly, I've been hearing things. Strange things. Last night, a customer came in and asked if the croissants could answer the meaning of life. What have you done to people's brains? Tony grinned like a mad scientist. Sister, it's not about answering life's big questions. It's about giving them the tools to question everything. Just one bite of the croissant of confusion and people start thinking, am I just a cog in the pastry machine? Or am I the dough that makes the machine work? Sister Mary looked like she was about to scream, but instead, she just collapsed into one of the bakery's chairs. You know what? I'm done. You've taken the entire concept of spiritual awakening and baked it into a flaky dough, and now I'm questioning my entire life choices. That's the point, sister, Tony said, tossing a croissant of confusion into the air and catching it like a pro. Now, we've moved on to the next stage, the donut hole of uncertainty. The what? Sister Mary blinked, her eyebrows furrowing in disbelief. Yes, Tony said, pointing dramatically at the ceiling. It's time to dig deep into the mystery of the donut hole itself. What is it really? An absence? A nothingness? Or the very core of existence itself? When people bite into this donut hole, they'll question, is the hole the donut, or is the donut the hole? Gertrude, who had been quietly sipping on her coffee in the corner, choked. Tony, please don't. You're going to get people to start meditating on the philosophical implications of empty space. Have you seen the kind of people who come here for your spiritual pastries? You're turning them into puff pastry philosophers. At that moment, Steve and Wanda walked in, looking mysteriously calm, as if they had just come from a deeply spiritual experience, perhaps even a pastry-induced awakening. Steve had on a new pair of sunglasses, which were clearly a sign that he was now operating on a higher plane of existence. "Tony," Steve began, "I had an epiphany last night. I ate a croissant of confusion at 2 a.m., and it hit me. The whole world is just one big, infinite croissant. Layers upon layers, and no matter how hard you try, you'll never quite figure it out." Wanda nodded sagely. "It was beautiful, Steve. And terrifying. Mostly terrifying, but beautiful." Tony beamed. "That's exactly it. You've embraced the uncertainty. You've taken the first step on the path of flaky wisdom." Sister Mary sighed, now on the verge of having a breakdown. "I never should have let you open this bakery. It's like you've taken the mysteries of the universe and wrapped them in buttery layers." Gertrude raised her hand dramatically. "I want to try this donut hole of uncertainty you speak of. But I must know, will it answer the ultimate question? Will it tell me why I can never find matching socks?" Gertrude, that's the whole point," Tony said, putting on his best philosopher face. "The donut hole doesn't answer questions, it makes you ask better ones. And it's also delicious." Sister Mary took a deep breath. "Tony, listen to me carefully. I don't know how much more existential pastry confusion I can handle. Last time it was the donuts, now it's the croissants, and next, you'll have people questioning the very existence of bread." "Actually," Tony said, pulling out a parchment with ancient-looking writing, "it was just parchment from a recent art project. I've got an even more profound creation. The sacred bagel of perpetual doubt. This one will have people wondering if bagels even exist outside of their own minds." Sister Mary turned pale. "Oh no, not the bagels." Gertrude stood up, hands raised to the heavens. "Yes, yes, bring on the bagels, Tony. I'm ready for eternal doubt." Just as Tony was about to roll out his newest creation, the door to the bakery slammed open, and in walked a man holding a very large book titled The Pastry Philosopher's Guide to Enlightenment. "Excuse me," the man said, pointing to the divine donut of destiny display. "I'm here for the truth. I've read that your pastries can unlock the mysteries of the universe. Is that true?" Tony and Sister Mary exchanged a look. "Well, we can't promise you truth per se," Tony said, "but we can promise that the journey will leave you questioning everything, your purpose, your existence, even your choices in breakfast foods." The man took a deep breath. "I think I'm ready. I'll take the croissant of confusion and the donut hole of uncertainty. And, if it's not too much trouble, a muffin that doesn't question its own identity." Sister Mary finally cracked. "I think," she said, shaking her head, "we've created something that's bigger than any of us. A bakery that's not just about pastries anymore, but about pondering the cosmos." Gertrude raised a toast with her coffee cup. "To Tony, the man who took breakfast and turned it into a philosophical experience." Tony smiled, pouring yet another batch of batter. "The journey is just beginning, my friends. Next week, the muffin of metaphysical muddle. Stay tuned." Coming up next, the bagel of eternal questions. Can one bite unravel the very fabric of reality? And who, in fact, invented bagels? The Baker and the Nun, the Immaculate Confession, Episode 9. It was a crisp morning in New York, and Tony was feeling especially spiritual. The bakery had seen an unprecedented surge in business thanks to the croissant of confusion and the donut hole of uncertainty. People were now lining up every day to indulge in pastries that promised to not only satisfy their sweet tooth, but also feed their existential dread. Sister Mary, on the other hand, was experiencing a deep existential crisis of her own. For the past few days, she had been trying to meditate, something she had not done since her days in the convent, but every time she closed her eyes, all she could see were pastries. Flaky, buttery pastries, filled with questions she didn't want to answer. It was getting to her. "Tony," she sighed, rubbing her temples as she walked into the bakery. "I think I'm having a pastry-induced spiritual breakdown." Tony looked up from behind the counter, where he was assembling a pastry so complicated it looked like the Eiffel Tower of dough. "Sister Mary, I'm going to solve all your problems with one bite of the bagel of eternal questions." She stared at him. Tony, don't you dare. I've had enough of your baked goods masquerading as life lessons. Last time I bit into one of your croissants, I spent 3 hours wondering if I was actually real or if I was just a figment of a pastry chef's imagination. That's the beauty of it, Tony said with the enthusiasm of a man who had truly found his calling. It's not just a bagel, it's a journey. You take one bite and you'll question everything. Are we the bagels? Or is the bagel us? It's a metaphorical awakening. Sister Mary buried her face in her hands. You're doing it again. I just wanted a quiet life. Tony, is that too much to ask for? A life without pastries turning into spiritual crises. Just then, Steve and Wanda walked in, both wearing new t-shirts that read, I question everything and eat bagels. Tony, Steve called out. We've had another epiphany after last night's bagel of eternal questions. Sister Mary groaned. Oh no, not again. Wanda nodded solemnly. It was intense, sister. We were eating the bagels, and suddenly we were facing our deepest fears. I, for one, had to confront the terrifying notion that I might be allergic to the bagel's meaning. Tony grinned. See? Wanda gets it. It's not about just eating a bagel. It's about unpacking your fear of dough itself. The layers are endless. Like life. Like the bagel. Steve raised his coffee cup. You know what I've realized? Every bagel is a reminder that we, as humans, are constantly seeking holes in our lives. And then we stuff those holes with cream cheese, but we never stop to wonder, are we really filling the void, or are we just adding more dough? Sister Mary stared at him. I cannot believe this is my life right now. Gertrude came in, looking uncharacteristically calm. She walked up to the counter and grabbed a muffin of metaphysical muddle, a pastry Tony had recently created after receiving a mysterious, cryptic email from a fan. Gertrude took a bite, raised her eyebrows, and said, this muffin is definitely making me reconsider my choice of breakfast cereals. Tony leaned forward. That's exactly it. You see? It's not about choosing cereal or muffins, Gertrude. It's about the realization that breakfast is a metaphysical experience. Every bowl of cereal is a reflection of our childhood traumas, our hopes for the future, and the milk of our dreams. Sister Mary almost fell over. Tony, I can't take this anymore. You've turned breakfast into philosophy class. Tony shrugged and smiled. Sister, my friend, we live in a world where every bite is a thought, and every thought deserves to be savored like the finest croissant. You just have to let go of your fears. Just one bite of my bagel of eternal questions and you'll be questioning the universe, and possibly your morning routine. Just then, a customer approached the counter with a concerned look on his face. Excuse me, he said, holding up a half-eaten croissant. I just wanted to ask, does your croissant of confusion come with a manual for, like, life? I bit into it, and now I'm wondering if I'm even in the right reality. Am I real? Are you real? Should I be worried about this? Sister Mary grabbed her head in frustration. Oh no, here we go again. Tony leaned over, patted the man's shoulder, and said, the croissant doesn't come with a manual, but it comes with an awakening. The moment you bite into it, you're stepping into a new realm of uncertainty. It's up to you to figure out if you're part of the pastry, or if the pastry is part of you. But don't worry, my friend, it's a delicious journey. The man nodded slowly, his eyes wide. I think I'm starting to get it. Sister Mary shook her head. This bakery is going to be the death of me. Tony handed her a bagel of eternal questions.
Here, sister. Just take a bite.
Embrace the chaos. Sister Mary eyed the bagel suspiciously. Tony, if this bagel makes me question my very existence, I swear I'll. She took a bite. Her eyes immediately widened. She looked around, her face a mixture of wonder and horror. Oh no, it's happening. I'm questioning everything. Steve clapped his hands.
See?
I told you. It's a journey, sister. Wanda nodded. You'll never be the same again. I ate a muffin yesterday, and now I'm wondering if muffins are just a metaphor for unresolved emotional baggage. Sister Mary stared at them all in disbelief. That's it. I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to the convent. They didn't have muffins that made you question your life choices. Tony handed her one last croissant of confusion. Sister, it's not about running away. It's about embracing the uncertainty. Come on, one last bite. Who knows what questions it will answer? Sister Mary took the croissant, stared at it for a long moment, and then, with a sigh, took a bite. Oh, this is the worst decision I've ever made, she said, as a faint smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. But it's the best pastry I've ever had. Next episode, The Cookie of Cosmic Conundrums. Can one bite unlock the mysteries of the universe and also answer the age-old question, why are cookies always better fresh out of the oven?
Polly Speaks for You incorporates voice control features that allow users to perform essential actions like opening, saving, and creating new documents, as well as interacting with font and document editing dialogues. This is particularly helpful for individuals with disabilities, enabling hands-free operation and more accessible content management. Below are some of the voice control functionalities designed for ease of use. 1. Voice-commanded document handling. Open document. Users can say commands like open document, followed by the file name or location, and Polly will open the document for them. Save document. Commands like save document as or save allow the user to save their work without needing to manually click on buttons. Polly can also handle saving with specific file names or locations as dictated. A new document. A simple voice command such as create new document or start new file will initiate a fresh document in the app. A closed document. Commands like close document or exit can be used to close the current document. 2. Font dialog voice controls. Font style. Users can control font settings by saying change font to Arial or set font at Times New Roman. This would change the selected text's font style. A font size. Commands like increase font size or decrease font size adjust the text size according to user preferences. A font color. Users can use commands such as set font color to red or change font to blue to personalize the text color. 3. Voice-commanded document editing. A text formatting. Commands like bold text, italicized text, underline text, or strikeout text allow users to edit their document easily. For example, saying bold this text will apply bold formatting to the selected text. Alignment. Users can command alignment changes by saying align left, align center, or align right. A text insertion. A user can say insert text, and the software will insert the given text at the current cursor position. A text navigation. Commands such as go to the top, scroll down, or move to the next paragraph enable users to navigate the document without the need for a mouse or keyboard. 4. Voice-activated help and assistance. Help commands. Users can ask questions like, what can I do? Or help me with saving to receive guidance on specific tasks. Polly can offer step-by-step instructions based on voice queries. A undo/redo. Voice commands such as undo or redo let users correct mistakes or revert to previous actions in their document. 5. Advanced features for accessibility. Speech recognition training. For improved accuracy, Polly can guide users through the Windows speech recognition training process, adapting to their voice patterns and improving dictation accuracy. A text-to-speech for editing. Users can have text read aloud to them while editing, making it easier to spot errors and refine their documents. These voice-controlled features make Polly Speaks for You an accessible tool for individuals with disabilities, particularly those with visual impairments, mobility issues, or other conditions that limit their ability to use traditional input devices. The hands-free operation helps users maintain independence and improve their document management and editing experience. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. The creator of Polly Speaks for You has always been driven by a passion for giving a voice to those who need it most. Whether it's through text-to-speech technology or voice recognition, the goal has always been to create tools that help individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, communicate and interact with the world in a way that is meaningful and empowering. The stories shared, such as those about the sailors aboard the HMS Victory, are not just about reliving history, they are about the power of voice. Through Polly Speaks for You, The creator saw an opportunity to use storytelling as a medium to convey courage, strength, and resilience, much like the sailors of the past. These stories are intended to inspire and engage users, reminding them of the importance of their voices, both literally and metaphorically. The idea behind these stories is to showcase how technology, particularly speech technology, can be a tool for preserving history, while also empowering users with the capability to share their own narratives. By blending history with technology, the creator of Polly Speaks for You aims to demonstrate how powerful a voice can be in shaping and sharing our world, past and present. In a sense, these stories represent more than just entertainment. They are a way for the creator to give a voice to history, to connect with users in a deeply human way, and to remind them that their voices matter, whether they are telling their own stories or those of others. The creator's work in developing Polly Speaks for You is never just about making a functional tool. It was about making sure that every voice had the power to be heard. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. This content has been adapted from the powerful features of Polly Speaks for You, South Africa's leading accessibility software. Learn more at www.polyspeaksforyou.co.za. We invite you to support this meaningful dyslexic initiative, crafted and developed by an individual who personally understands the challenges of dyslexia.